God of War 2018, one thing that was hard is my face was so small that it was hard for them to get every dot on my face. The second time around during Ragnarok, it was easier, so I guess the character does look like me a little bit more now. Hi, my name is Sولجيك, and this is how I became Atreus in God of War. I had no idea that I was auditioning for God of War. Even after like the third callback, they didn't really tell me anything. I think it was a fake script, fake names. I think my name might have been like X on the script or something. I was 8 at the time too, and this was one of my first auditions. So I didn't really know what to expect, and I didn't really think that it was any different from other projects. They had a PlayStation there, so I was like playing games and stuff, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together.
What sorts of things can I do? Can I fly? Can I turn into a hawk? I don't feel like a god.
And I remember one thing that they had me do was like a facial scan or something, and there was just a bunch of cameras around me, and I was just making like a bunch of like facial expressions for like an hour. I was doing a bunch of chemistry reads with a bunch of really talented actors for Kratos, but when I did the read with Chris, we just clicked immediately. And the chemistry was just there, so I got the pleasure to work with the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Judge.
I do not know the reach or extent of your godhood, but we will learn together.
I didn't see any concept art of Atreus. I bet they did have some type of concept for it, but actually I didn't see it. They just fully built the character off of my face. Personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of my performance in 2018.
Is this what it is to be a god? Is this how it always ends?
I don't know, I think I'm just like my biggest critic. Like if I hear myself over, especially with like the higher pitched voice and like me screaming and everything.
We're sick of hearing about little people's little problems!
All right.
I don't think the performance was like horrible. It's kind of like watching an old like embarrassing video of you when you're younger. I actually did watch a lot of the cutscenes from the last game to try to get back into character before I went back on set. And then I actually dove into like a lot of, like Norse mythology. I just got more information, and I fully read the script for Ragnarok. The last one I read some portions of the full script, but I didn't even understand what I was doing the last one. But going into Ragnarok, it was just a whole different story. I had a lot more dialogue and just a lot more action scenes and everything, and dude, it's so cool being able to play yourself as a character in a video game. And I was just so excited. And I knew that I had a bigger part in Ragnarok this time, so I was like, I cannot mess this up. There was this one time, I think it was the first day, where we did a rehearsal. I didn't remember the lines the night before. I don't know why, but I was just like, yeah, I'll remember them when I get there, whatever. So I blew it the first day back. Eric Williams, the director on it, and Matt, the narrative director, they looked so disappointed. And I just felt horrible. After that day, I made sure to basically never do that again. And I think the whole shoot, even for the next 3 years after the first rehearsal, I was making up for that day, every single day.
The Giants have prophecies about me. They know me as Loki.
When I found out that I was Loki, it actually helped my performance, I guess, a little bit, because Loki is a known character upon Norse mythology, and essentially he's a trickster. So I started watching Loki on Disney+, and I fell in love with the show. It's actually a really good show. That gave me a better reference of the character, and it was just cool to see somebody else play it. When I did watch Tom Hiddleston's performance, I took a grain of salt out of it. I loved his performance, he did really well, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't completely copy character itself.
You've literally stabbed people in the back like 50 times. Why never do it again?
I definitely took the sarcasm and the manipulativeness from the show Loki, which kind of helped me play the character a little bit better.
Seriously?
A regular day on set is I'd get there around 9 o'clock, and then I would do school for about 3 hours and get a nice little lunch break. I think I would do dots on my face for about like 30 minutes, and then I would put on the mocap suit. And we would do about maybe like 1 to 2 rehearsals, depending on how intense the scene is, I guess, and how many people it involves. We would get on set, step in the volume, do the scene. Sometimes it would take, I don't know, 12 takes. Sometimes it would be even 1 if we get Nah, there's never one take. The space where we do the mocap shoots, it's just a big volume of space. There's a big carpet. I don't even know how big it is. I think maybe like 100 feet long, wide. Essentially, you just have to use your imagination, and they'll use other boxes and inanimate objects, and they'll put little dots on it. And you kind of have to use that as some type of creature in the game or some type of object. You have this big camera over your face with like the helmet to get your facial expressions. I'm pretty sure it even scans your eye movement and everything. And it's just really advanced technology, and I'm not sure how it really even works, but it works. Actually, the helmet itself isn't that uncomfortable, but this big, I don't know, like metal rod that goes around your face, and it's kind of this GoPro looking camera. So it's easy to kind of clash into someone with your camera. I would forget sometimes because I'm so used to working on set and after such a long time, so I'd forget the camera would be there, and then I would just smack somebody in the face or something. Most of the things were usually me idling, which is what took a long time, is because I'd have different idles. Idling is just when you're waiting for another character to come, or if you're not even using your controller and you're just sitting there the whole time, kind of like an NPC. But it would just consist of me running, jumping, different distances, just certain movements of me spinning, because they need every single movement, and even fingers. Yeah, I guess it is pretty strange, and then I also start overthinking me being natural, like just standing there, because usually when you're just walking around and then you're just standing listening to somebody, you don't really think about it, but then when you're told to do so and you're just supposed to casually just stand there or sit down or whatever, I don't know, I feel like I just kept overthinking it. So I had to do so many takes of it. When you are filming a video game and you are on the mocap stage, not only with the facial expressions, but movements have to be exaggerated a little bit. But thankfully, when I'm recording on the stage, there's a bunch of TVs around to where you can see yourself as the character. So I'd kind of use that as reference, but then at the same time though, like my eyeline has to be in specific spots, so I'd kind of cheat it for a second. We would definitely get out of character sometimes because, I don't know, sometimes the character would glitch on the screen or something like that. Even when I first started working on God of War 2018 till this day, I still can't believe the technology that they use. I don't know, it kind of messes with my perception of reality in a sense.
I was born a god, and so are you.
Chris is, it's funny because he looks like a really intimidating guy. He's big and his voice, it sounds insane, but he's really the nicest and like most genuine person I've ever worked with. I'm not just saying this to say it, like he really did almost craft me as a person. I mean, I grew up with him and I was on set so much, so from, being 8 to now 17, I give a lot of credit to him. And he's been just such a great person while working on the project, on set and off set. And he's insanely talented. Like, he really knows how to carry a game. I don't think my performance wouldn't have been possible without, working with Chris. He would actually improvise some parts, just be more like physical in a sense, and even like tap my back or something, kind of just play around with it to really get me in character. And I feel like watching that gave me more freedom, I guess, in my mind to kind of, improvise as well and just feel comfortable to do what I feel is right, in a sense. Leia is the best. She's really fun to work with. Also, it was really cool to just have someone on the stage around my age. Working on some of these scenes that are a little more intimate. In the beginning, I thought, I felt a little bit nervous, but working with her, she just made it feel really comfortable, and she's super mellow and just fun to hang out with. We also had great chemistry too. I did a bunch of chemistry reads, and when I met Leia, it just, same thing with Chris, we clicked. And I think that the cast kind of sensed that as well. Some scenes where we're laying down and we're facing one another, and the cameras kept clashing actually, so we had to keep retaking because honestly, you can get away with it if the cameras do clash and you go on with the scene, but I kept laughing. Filming the death of Fenrir, it was just a whole emotional journey for me. And actually, I think before I filmed that scene, one of my dogs passed away like a few months prior. It's a really painful process to go through, losing a pet you love. What I do on the day, actually for like very heavy and like emotional scenes, I actually go in the trailer and lock myself in there and then I start playing sad music, and then I read the lines to it. I'm trying to remember what song I played. It was like some song by Shiloh Dynasty or something. Yeah, I would just listen to sad music before, and then not talk to anybody. And then I remember my mom trying to walk into the room, to the trailer. I didn't even open the door for her. I was just like in the zone. The scene was very special to me and important, and I wanted to, you know, make the best of it.
You're a good boy. A brave boy. Fast and strong. But you can rest now.
Even me, you know, using a cardboard box as Fenrir, I fully was just in the zone, and I really did imagine, you know, Fenrir laying right there. I think towards the end of the scene, I just lost it and I started bawling out crying. I was actually thinking about, I have a little French bulldog. I just imagined him, and I didn't want to, but that's what really, you know, brought the emotion out. But I just imagined him, you know, laying dead in my arms. Once I could really visualize this moment, I just broke. After I finished the scene, I went back home and I showed my dog some love after. I felt so horrible. Consistency was definitely something that we struggled with a little bit, just because of my voice dropping and me kind of growing, and we had to re-record basically the whole game. But I got a second chance to improve my performance, which I actually was super happy about.
The prophecies say Fimbulwinter leads to Ragnarok. War is coming.
It's all just voiceover. Sometimes if it's a really like intense scene where I have to do a bunch of like specific breaths, like the bar fight, I had to, every single movement, I had to do every breath for it. So I had to re-record even just the movements and breaths. Working on the mocap stage is already kind of hard enough because you have to, you know, envision the whole set and use all these objects to, you know, set the stage for you. And then when you get in the booth, it really is hard to, like, you know, get a lot of emotion out of you just based off of reading the script and reading the lines. And they would rarely have like reference or videos. So you purely had to work off of your imagination. Yeah, you just keep doing the lines until you get that one. Sometimes I'd be doing a line for like 50, 60 takes of like a big paragraph. Yeah, it's pretty intense. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's really fun. I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is follow your intuition and like follow what like you really think is right, because at the end of the day, that's usually the best decision. I do make a lot of mistakes throughout the filming Ragnarok. Not me, myself, but the character himself. So I feel like I gotta, you know, learn from Atreus' mistakes instead of making my own. Growing up with this character made it a lot easier for me for the second time around. And it also, I would say, improved my acting in some ways, especially during Ragnarok, since I had to re-record a lot of this stuff. I feel like I got to know the character a little bit better, if anything. Hope that I could be Atreus again.